Everyone, you'll notice that you should have got a little pop-up window that says that this session is being recorded. And so you'll need to be okay with that recording happening. So Donna, let me turn it over to you. You're one of our city team members here who's going to do just a bit of a mini introduction here for us before I tell people a bit more about tonight's format. Donna, over to you.
Great, thank you, Kim. Well, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Recreation and Parks Department, I'm really happy to welcome you to the session this evening. Thanks for joining us for this really important conversation. We're happy to share this space with you, and we really appreciate your time tonight. We know everyone's got lots going on. Willoughby Park and the school site is a valued place in our community, and I'd like to offer a land acknowledgement for the land that we are on. We respectfully acknowledge that we are in Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of First Nations and Métis peoples. As treaty people, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, we share the responsibility of stewardship of this beautiful land. So today we'd like to share some information about the application that we received to remove the dog off-leash designation for Willoughby Park. This is your community park, and we really need your input to help ensure that all users can safely enjoy the park space in the future. We're happy to see that there's lots of interest. We look forward to hearing about your experiences and ideas. We know that there's folks that couldn't make it tonight, and there will be further opportunity for input, so we want to hear from them as well. But tonight we're here, we're committed to listening. We want to learn from you, and we do promise to use the information tonight to help guide the decision. So thanks again for taking time to join us tonight.
Thank you, Donna. Now, everyone, just a few more introductions and just covering a little bit of technology as we dive in. I know that many of you at this point in time during the pandemic are probably really familiar with Zoom or Zoom-like platforms, but occasionally I get someone who joins us who hasn't been on these before, and so want to make sure everyone's really comfortable with the tools that we have here. So you're going to notice, everyone, there will be a toolbar along the bottom of your screen. You're going to find things like I can turn my video on and off. There will be a place to mute and unmute yourself. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Somebody just found the button for me. And you will also notice that there will be a chat feature, everyone. Now I'm getting a bit of an echo. Lindsay, can you just confirm for me that all of us are on mute? Because I'm hearing a bit of an echo. Donna, let me know if you're also hearing that. Yeah, all right. Probably just means that we've got somebody who might be off of mute here for a moment, but we'll navigate that. Looks like we've got it figured out. So everyone in the chat, I just want to make sure you know where it is. Again, bottom toolbar, looking for the speech bubble that says chat, just say hello, good evening, something like that, just to make sure that you've found that chat feature. We're going to be using that occasionally throughout the evening. Excellent. We've got lots of people who are putting that in there for us. Excellent. I also wanted to take a moment. I see that we've got one of our counselors who's here with us this evening. So also just wanted to say hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So everyone, let me tell you, perfect. Thank you, Counselor Bermansky. Thanks for being here with us this evening. Now, everyone, I did want to just tell you a little bit about who's here tonight and what to expect this evening. So you're going to see we've got a number of our city colleagues here with us, some of who are going to share some information with you. But as many of you can appreciate, to make these Zoom meetings go around with this many people on the line, there's a lot of hands that make all of this go around together. So you can see that we've got some city colleagues who will be here to support us in our discussion. I also, though, wanted to get a sense from all of you who are joining us just to see how you might be connected to this conversation about Willoughby Park. So we've got a number of polls we'd like to just, again, get a sense of who's here with us before we get started. So Lindsay, if you want to share that first poll with me. Now, everyone, you're going to see there should be a window that's going to pop up on your screen here in a moment, and it asks you a question, and you get the opportunity to respond to this question. So what we're curious about is, what's your connection to Willoughby Park? Curious if maybe you're a dog owner, Maybe you're someone who lives near Willoughby Park. Maybe you work or volunteer in that area. You've got a student at a school near here. So you can see I've got a number of options. You should be able to respond to a couple of them if maybe a few of them apply to you. And that's all right, everyone. If right now we've got the select one, just pick the one that you think is most relevant to why you're here. Excellent. And don't worry, everyone, we've got lots more opportunities for discussion. This is just to give us a sense of who's here and again, sort of how you're connected to that conversation. All right. I can see lots of people who have responded here. I'll just wait another moment or so because I can see a couple more people who are responding. Good, good, good. Excellent. All right, so let's just pause here. We're going to pause here for a moment because I can see most of us have responded. Lindsay, if we can share those poll results back with everyone. So again, you might need to scroll down here a little bit, everyone, to get a sense of who's here and again, sort of how some of our people are connected to this conversation that we're having this evening. So we've got an assortment of people connected with a number of different ways. Again, I see a number of people who have just recently joined us. This is Kim Hishka speaking. We're just getting started here. And we're going through just a couple of poll questions to get a flavor of who might be here with us this evening. So Lindsay, if you can go ahead, I believe we've got another question that we would like you to respond to. All right. So our next poll question is asking you to tell us how it is that you use, or if it's yourself or maybe somebody from your household that uses the park. We're just curious if it's something that you use daily, weekly, maybe it's just something you use a few times a month. Maybe also you don't use the park, but are also still interested in this conversation. See lots of people responding here. Again, just waiting a couple of moments while everyone has a chance to read that question and get some of those responses in. All right. Looks like it's slowing down. All right. So Lindsay, same thing here. If we can close that poll, let's share those results back with everyone. So again, it looks like many of the people who are here tonight quite frequently, so daily or weekly are using that area. Excellent. So I have one last poll question for you. Again, everyone, these are just kind of getting a sense of who's here to give us a flavor for the conversation to come. So Lindsay, let's go ahead and share that last question for people. So again, curious about how often do you or someone from your household use this to run dogs or to allow dogs places to get out and enjoy. So again, looking for if you or someone from your household uses this area to run your dogs, how frequently that happens. Excellent. Again, getting lots of responses in here. Good, good, good. All right, just waiting one more moment. Okay. Same thing, Lindsay. Let's share those responses back with everyone. So again, people can see sort of how some of those numbers are rolling out. Again, very frequent users of the area. Perfect. Thanks so much, Lindsay, for sharing that. All right, everyone. So let me give you a sense of where we're at, and then I'm going to invite another one of my city colleagues to start giving us a bit of an overview of some of the information that might be helpful to support us here. So a couple of slides I wanted to share with you. Lindsay, I'm asking lots of questions of you here. If you can bring up those slides for me. All right. So, couple things that we wanted to ask of all of you this evening. I mentioned to you earlier, and certainly by looking at those polls, this is an area that is utilized by a lot of people, which means that it's going to be really important to you, and you're going to have lots to share with us tonight. We also anticipate that some people are going to have different experiences and different perspectives. And so we did want to ensure that everyone feels really safe and feels really comfortable in the conversation. So we've made some suggestions here of how we might work really well together. So certainly we want to make space for opportunities for you to tell us what's most important to you, what you want the city to be thinking about as they consider this change request. We also want to make sure, though, that you have an opportunity to hear what's important to others that are on the call. We want to make sure that we hear a variety of ideas and perspectives. So we encourage you to follow some of these to ensure we're working really well together. So let me tell you about how our couple of hours is going to be spent together. So Lindsay, you can flip to the next slide for me. So we've done some introductions here, everyone, and I want to dive in because the clock moves quickly. Right away, I'm going to invite Dean to come on again, one of our team members, who's going to tell you just a little bit more about, what's a change request, what's come in, what do we know right now that we're working with. And then this is where we're really going to sort of stop talking, everyone, and want to turn it over, where we're going to move into a number of small breakout groups so that we can talk about 3 different things. We really want to understand what people are experiencing in the park right now. We know people and dogs are interacting on a regular basis, so want to understand sort of what's happening there. We also want you to give us some thoughts about what do you really want the city to consider as they move forward in looking at this change request. And then finally, we're also going to have an opportunity. There's a lot of different ways that the city could potentially move forward. And so we want an opportunity to brainstorm some of those ideas. All right. Good. Okay, just taking a look at the chat here, everyone, making sure I'm paying attention to all the moving pieces. So Dean, let me turn it over to you. And I know, Dean, we've got some slides up, so we're just going to move one forward here for you. And Dean, if we can turn it over to you to introduce us to the topic, please.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. I have a few slides to share with you that will provide some background about the change request application and what it includes. So let's start with the first slide. Why this, why now? So as per Animal Bylaw 11/2013, the city is required to provide residents the opportunity to formally express a need to add, remove, or alter an existing off-leash area. And the specifics of that provision fall under the general authority of the Chief Administrative Officer to establish process and policy that directs that activity. And details can be found in section 27.3 of the bylaw specifically. And this public engagement opportunity represents one part of the overall review process. So what triggered this process? Back in June of 2021, the city received a formal change request application to remove the existing off-leash area designation status for Willoughby Park, and that also includes the enclosed rink area. It should be noted this is that this application is the first time that administration tool has been used since the bylaw was enacted. So we'll be reviewing some of the lessons learned from this current review process and certainly apply those learnings to any future applications. And actually, we can probably move to the next slide. So this site amenities map helps to provide general context for the various interactions that presently take place at Willoughby Park. The first distinction that should be noted is that Willoughby Park land is represented by the green space area on the right side of the map, and the school board land is depicted on the left and is highlighted in the tan shading. So the designated off-leash area boundary technically only includes the city park area represented by the green turf. And I say technically because dogs don't recognize invisible property lines. And so that just present some context for you. And as one can see, this overall site has several site amenities packed into one area, which includes, there's the 2 schools. There's Neil M. Ross Catholic Elementary, Keno Shale Public Elementary. There's 4 school playground pods and 1 city playground pod. And the school playground pods are primarily within the tan shaded area. And you'll see the pink area where the Willoughby City Playground Park is located. There's also 2 bookable soccer fields. There's a U9 and a U13 and 1 bookable diamond. There's 1 boarded rink, which, as we know, also provides the off-leash area during the non-winter months. And there's 4 shared use tennis courts, as well as 1 clubhouse building. So there's lots happening on this particular site location. I'll probably move to the next slide. So since mail out notifications and public notice of tonight's workshop were sent out informing residents about this application, I know myself and Donna, we've received several follow-up emails from people asking about how one goes about initiating a change request application. To formally initiate the change request process, interested applicants must complete and sign the off-leash area designation form, which is accessed online through the city webpage. And we'll insert a link into the chat box for anyone who's interested in accessing that page. And it's also listed right here on this slide. At the page, at that particular page, when you log on, you'll see that the change request, there's a change request form, there's a flow chart diagram illustrating overview process, and there's also a step-by-step explanation process outlining the process details. As I said, this is the first time we've engaged the formal process, so we're growing as we go through this process, and tonight is part of that public engagement element. So let's move to the next slide. So in response to who is the applicant and what is the requested proposed change, this change request application was submitted as a joint application from 2 school administration groups and their corresponding school parent council organizations. As referenced on the slide, this application represents a broad school-based audience, which includes both Keno Shale and Neil M. Ross School councils and Keno Shale and Neil M. Ross School. To restate the proposed change request as expressed by the applicant on the change request form, it is to remove the existing off-leash designation status for Willoughby Park, including the enclosed rink area. And it should be noted that the applicant has proposed that the change request would span the entire year because Willoughby Park and surrounding field area are utilized by families year-round. So we can go to the next slide. So the applicant justification for proposed change is really a reflection of expressed issues that date back to 2014, when the Willoughby Park off-leash area was first identified as a potential site location. In addition to the completed change request form application, the applicant also provided supporting documentation, which included past letters and emails to previous mayor and council expressing concerns with the site designation, as well as some coverage in Gazette highlighting the school's noted issues. Specific issues identified by the applicants include conflict between dog owners and school staff regarding interaction of dogs and school students, both on and off the school property. And the reference to on and off school property, again, meaning that Willoughby Park encompasses both school board land and city land. And again, the dogs don't distinguish that difference. The applicant also expressed that there have been incidents of dogs approaching students during recess, as well as before and after school, with several accounts of aggressive dogs approaching and interacting with students, while dog owners may or may not be in close proximity. The applicant also noted that there have been occasions where the school principal sat with unattended dogs outside until the owner came in order to ensure that the safety of the school children, and some as young as 4 years old. Shared use conflicts and proximity to multiple school play space areas is a significant area of concern for the schools. Shared use conflict have in the past and continue to be ongoing concerns expressed by school staff, students, and there have been school families as well. Just highlighting a couple of things just in relation to specific bylaw elements that sort of factor into a number of these things. Just looking at, there is section 13 of the animal bylaw, that does require that dogs must be on leash, even in an off-leash area when organized sport activities are taking place, or when the dog is within 1 meter of a paved trail. That is an ongoing cause of shared use conflict. Section 14 is also part of the bylaw that plays into this as well. It prohibits dogs from entering or remaining in or on any playground structures or apparatus area. It prohibits dogs from entering or remaining in any area of sand or other like material surrounding the playground structures. And it states that dogs are not allowed to be within 2 meters of any playground structure or apparatus area. And so these shared use conflicts have been an ongoing point of contention for the applicant. And the applicant has also included the board rink as part of the request for the designation removal because students and staff, school staff use this amenity throughout the school year. The applicant has expressed significant sanitary issues with dog feces in play areas, which includes playground, soccer fields, and the boarded rink area. And considerable time is spent during recess and physical education class time cleaning up dog feces prior to children using the area. And then on the way back, the lack of cleaning up pet waste in the park has caused the tracking of the feces on the children's footwear coming back into the school. It's smells in the entryways and the doorways and the rugs and those sorts of things. So those have been a highlight of what they've identified in terms of some specific concerns. We can move to the next slide. So the status of the application review is currently in the public engagement and feedback stage. And tonight's online community workshop is, as Kim pointed out earlier, is an opportunity for participants to share with us how they continue use and value Willoughby Park and the adjacent field area, as well as to identify challenges associated with the interaction between dogs and people in the shared use park space. Following tonight's workshop, there will be an online survey, which is planned to be open for additional community input. And we're looking to have that open from February 14th to the 27th. Feedback received from tonight's workshop will be reflected accordingly in the online survey tool as well. And input gathered throughout each of these engagement processes will be used to compile all information collected and formulate proposed recommendation. And that information will be used to inform our Chief Administrative Officer in making a final decision. And the information that we receive during this information will be used to inform throughout that element. And I think the important part is that the information we receive during the session will be only one part of the overall elements that determines the final decision. There's policies, there's administrative directive, there's internal stakeholders that have administrative elements that they need to look at as well. So I think that about sums up for what I have to do. I can turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean. And everyone, certainly seeing some of the requests for information and those sorts of things that are coming in the chat. So our team will do our best to make sure that we're responding to some of those requests, so that you have the context that you're looking for. So everyone, I know that we're probably eager to dive in because we've been talking at you now here for a little while, and so really important to get into the discussion. And so here's how I thought that we would start, everyone. We're going to be moving into some breakout groups shortly here. But one question I thought that we could just throw some responses in the chat, everyone. Again, I just really want to highlight the sort of many different experiences, the many different ways that people use Willoughby Park right now. In the chat, everyone, I'd love for you to share with me right now, what's one of the ways, or what are one of the things that you really value about Willoughby Park? We see that, many of you use it for a lot of, different purposes. So, and maybe Lindsay, if you can just type that for me in the chat so that everyone knows. Again, looking for you, just a quick response, and then we're going to dive into it more. In the chat for me right now, what are some of your favorite things to do in Willoughby Park? Or, what do you really value about being able to use the park as you understand it today? everyone. So again, we're just talking about those experiences that we've had right now. So again, looking for, just give us a sense of how you use it, sort of favorite things that you do in the park. All right. So yes, definitely seeing people talking about using different parts of the park. The off-leash area being something really valuable. Like, hey, this is why we really love living in the neighborhood. People talking about the value of the ability to connect and gather with neighbors in the area. Sounds like lots of people use that boarded area. Others who are talking about maybe not specifically about dogs, but love to use the play structures and run in the space. People talking about again, ability to meet neighbors and socialize with others, connecting with dog owners. Daily use of the park, excellent. So everyone, I ask you this question for a couple of reasons. One is we're absolutely curious to hear how you use it. But I also want you to see all of those many different ways that people are using the park and find value. Because as the city goes to move forward to respond to this change request, they need to consider all of these different needs and all of these different values that are at play. And so just again, looking to see, what's out there and what are all of those different varying needs and varying perspectives. So thank you, everyone, for sharing those in the chat. So let's build on that discussion. This is the first chance we're going to move you into some small breakout groups here, because hard to have a conversation with 66 of us all at the same time. So when you land in your breakout group, you're going to again be greeted by one of our city team members. They'll be there to ask you a question and support the discussion. They're also going to be working really fast, everyone, to take as many notes as they possibly can. So a little bit of patience is appreciated as they're fulfilling a couple of roles. So Lindsay, let's pop up that first question here for everyone. And again, we're going to be sharing this with you in the breakout group. So don't worry about having to remember it, but we'll just share it with you right here. So we're looking for you again to share with us, what are some of the things that you're experiencing in Willoughby Park right now? We know that people and dogs and kids and teachers and lots of people are interacting with one another, sometimes probably sort of running into one another. So we really want to understand the different experiences that are happening on sort of in the space right now. So again, everyone, we're going to build on this. We're going to start with, what are we experiencing right now? And then we're going to continue to move and build on that here in a few minutes. So let me just check my schedule to make sure I'm on time. All right, so I'm going to give you about 20 minutes for discussion as you head into those small breakout groups. Again, when you land in those breakout groups, quick hello to one another, and then dive into this question. What are some of the things you and others are experiencing? And Judy, yes, absolutely. You will be greeted by a city colleague who's going to be there, who will support the discussion. Make sure we go around and that everybody has an opportunity to say sort of what they're experiencing. Last thing to say here, everyone, I really want to reinforce that this isn't about good and bad, and this is not about any of that. We're really just looking for what people are experiencing right now, appreciating that there's a lot of different experiences, and the more that we know, the better informed choices that we can make. All right, so practicing lots of care and kindness, we are going to head into those breakout groups. You've got a question here. So Lindsay, please go ahead. If anybody is struggling to get into the breakout groups, just stay in the main room and we will support you to get in there. All right, looks like most people have popped into our breakout groups. We'll just wait a moment. Anna looks like she's moving, just might be a little bit slow there. And Christine, I see that you're with me here as well. Christine, you may have had to step away or nope, there she goes. And there goes Anna. All right. So Lindsay, let's so we need to all right. And here comes everybody screaming back into our main room. Just give us a moment, make sure we've got everyone here. There we go. I think everyone's landed back with us. All right. And so let me offer everyone, I know that I'm still waiting for the graceful exit edition to come out of Zoom breakout room. So I apologize if you were mid-sentence and you got cut off or there's a bit of that awkward transition. I'm still waiting for it, everyone. Zoom hasn't come out with it yet. So I apologize if you got yanked out of discussion. Do know that you're going to be heading back in with people here in a few moments, and good to hear in the chat. Looks like some people were having some great discussions. So here's what I thought we would do. Just take a quick moment I'm going to call on a couple of our rooms to get a flavor for what was being shared. Now, everyone, we had almost 10 breakout groups. And so I probably don't have time to go to every breakout group because we're going to run out of time to actually get into more discussion, but I will just check in with a few groups here to understand what were some of the things that were being said. So let's get a flavor for what was happening. Let me check in. Hang on a second here. How about I come to Megan and Nicole? You were hosting a break. Actually, no, sorry. Let me switch to, I'll pick one of these ones down here. Wade and Lex, you were hosting a breakout room. So Wade, could you tell us some highlights of the things that came out in your discussion?
Definitely. No, happy to share. I think we had some really good feedback, and the majority of it was around how the community is using the park. And much of the feedback was the park in the area has been a tool to help people build that community, get to know each other, and kind of get to know some neighbors. We also had some really good feedback about how some of the requests came about. So we had someone from one of the schools as well talking a little bit about how that kind of happened. So I think it was really good, and everyone was very respectful, and we listened. We were able to chat. It was very pleasant.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, let me check in with a couple of other groups. Let me come down to Craig. Craig, there was a discussion happening in your group. Could you, again, give us some highlights of what came out of your discussion?
Sure, yeah, thanks. We had a really nice discussion with a group of citizens. I think all of them are dog owners. I'm just checking my notes here, but we talked a lot about the positive interactions and the positive access that you have to the park and the off-leash spaces. We talked a lot about the potential for both good and bad interactions between dogs. There was lots of good examples, a few examples of where that interaction, both for maybe a small child getting bumped over by a dog, or maybe it's by the dog itself being surrounded by children, can be a little bit challenging. I think one of the words that jumped out of our session by a few people was this notion of balance in looking for a solution moving forward. So we did talk a little bit about potential ways to resolve this or address this issue, but we'll dig into more of that, I think, later on in the session.
Thanks,
So
Craig.
thanks to my group for sharing your great experiences.
All right, and one more, everyone. Let me come to Shannon. Shannon, you were also hosting a group. Again, couple of highlights from you, please.
I was in room number 7. And just to reiterate what Craig and Wade said, it was very similar. So they talked about how it's being used in terms of off-leash parks for the dogs and positive interactions, as well as the not so great interactions and the health and safety concern regarding the dog feces.
Thank you so much, Shannon. All right, everyone. So let me give you a sense. So here's sort of our next questions coming up, and then we're going to take everyone a mini break here. I know how exhausting it can be on Zoom, and we've asked you to be here for a couple of hours. So let me give you the teaser, because we don't want you to go away, everyone, after this. We're hoping we'll have just a mini stretch and then come back afterwards. So when we come back from our short break, we're going to then start talking about, so as the city goes to make this decision, there's a lot of things that they need to think about. And I'm going to talk about that when we get back. But what do you want them to consider? So we've heard about experiences, what's happening. Now let's sort of dig into, like, what are the things you want the city to be thinking about as they go forward? And then everyone, reminder, our third and final conversation that we'll be having this evening is all about, so what are the options on the table? Like, how could we get creative? Again, we've heard balance. We've heard lots of needs, like what might there be, what might be available? And so we'll be looking for some of your creativity to think about what some of those solutions or options or balanced ways we might be able to move forward. So with that, it's 7:26 on my clock, everyone. Let's just take a 4-minute stand stretch. We're back at 7:30. 7:30, we will be back. Now, this is where everyone will be coming back in a moment. I'm always very curious right now. I should have done a quick look to see if there's a St. Albert, I don't know, Google our playlist of local artists or something like that. I was thinking it would be really handy right now if we had some music in the background, and it would be great to highlight some local talent. So if any of you do know that, there might be such a playlist. I don't know, it might be on Spotify or Apple Music. If someone knows of such a thing, please feel free to share it in the chat, because I'm giant believer of highlighting local talent and local musicians, because there's something a bit awkward about the silence that all happens when we're on these Zoom meetings. We'll just wait another minute or so, everyone. I did promise you a full 4 minutes here, and I know we'll just wait here one more moment as people are coming back. A couple people left and are rejoining our meeting, so we'll just give them 1 second to rejoin here with us. All right, I see some faces coming back. Again, if you don't have your camera on, no big deal, but just feel free to say, I'm back, or if you know where the reactions button are, that just helps us know that we've got people here back with us. All right, so let's carry on to our discussion. Awesome, Tanya, thanks so much for letting us know. There was a question when Judy had raised in the chat. She said, so are the rooms random? And so everyone, we did want to let you know that we help Zoom. We sort of say, hey, make X number of rooms. Lindsay's my colleague who's here. She moves people around just a little bit to ensure that as much as possible, the rooms are evenly balanced, but there is no sort of configuring of, oh, well, we'll put these people together, that people. Truly, we wanted to make it so sort of whoever ended up in those rooms, we were believing are the right people to be there. So yeah, just lots of discussion can happen between people. Yes, excellent. All right, everyone. So again, moving on to our next question. Lindsay, I've got a couple of slides here. If you can bring those up for me. So next question, as I said just before our break, this is where we want to get into some of the particulars. Again, the city has a change request in front of them. They need to make some considerations or need to think about a variety of things when they go about making those decisions. Now, everyone, I did want to just really highlight, though, you heard Dean say it earlier, and I wanted to reinforce it here. Lindsay, if you want to jump one slide forward for me. Many of you who've been a part of community engagement before with the city know that public voice and public input is incredibly important in these conversations and in these decisions. And there's a lot of other pieces that also need to go into this. So as the city is considering this change request, they think about policies or approved plans are some of the things that they will review and think about. There are obviously situations that have technical or in some cases have legislative requirements that need to be considered. And then there also can be other factors. In this case, a request came forward with some considerations. And so that comes into the mix, as well as policy and technical, and of course, public voice. So know that this conversation and the survey to follow is a critical part of the discussion, and there are other inputs that come into that decision-making process. So Lindsay, let's just flip back to that slide one more time. So again, everyone, heading into discussion, I'm checking here, you're going to have about a good 20 minutes in this discussion, everyone, a good 20 minutes. What do you think the city needs to think about? What do you want them to be considering as they respond to this change request? So again, Lindsay, I'm going to get you to open up those breakout groups, same as before, and I'll get you all to head into that discussion.
And Kim, we just have Michelle Suda, who's just joining us right now.
Okay, I think I might have seen Michelle's name earlier. She might have just popped off for a few minutes. Michelle, if I'm mistaken, just let me know and I'm happy to bring you up to speed.
Hi, yeah, I took my earbud out for a second and it disconnected me.
Of course, yes, that's how it goes. Yeah, no problem. Michelle, do you happen to remember which group you were in, or maybe Lindsay, you might still have that list?
I think I was in group 6.
Group 6, okay. Okay, we will.
I was with one.
Kim, I think I did that.
That's okay. It's all good. All right, everyone. Yeah, just giving a moment. It looks like we have all successfully come back. So those of you that finished up a little bit early, thank you for your patience. Those of you that might have still been mid-discussion, certainly if there was a couple of pieces you needed to add, we do have one last discussion here. So you're always welcome to go back and revisit if there were some last thoughts that weren't captured yet. So we're going to do the same thing. I do want to just take a moment or two to check in with a couple of our different groups. Here's some of the things that were shared. So Tara, might I come to you first, and then Manda, I will come to you second. So Tara, if I can come over to you first, let's hear some highlights in your discussion.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Yeah, we had some great discussions. Basically, a lot was said about considering the bigger picture, considering the community at large, not just one side, and making sure that all sides, and not just two sides. There's many different sides to the story, so making sure the city listens to all of those. I think one of a great quote that was reiterated twice is, it's a large space, but actually a small space. So there is enough space to accommodate everybody, and how we do that, we have to find solutions. So let's work together. And it was all about the greater good. So I think we're moving our way towards the next question with lots of great solutions too. So
great. Thank you, Tara. Manda, I'm going to come to you, and then Nicole, I'm also going to check in with you. So Manda, over to you. Give us some highlights.
Thank you. We had a really great discussion. I think I've got 2.5 pages of notes, so I'll try and put some highlights in there. A couple of really great comments around finding the root causes of the issues. Is it irresponsible, the 1%, or is it a bigger issue? Is there evidence-based decision making? Do we have documentation around incidents? So we're basing things based on facts and not anecdotal evidence. Definitely a recognition of the value of community building, mental health, physical health, and how having the dogs off leash contributes to both of those, which is very important, especially in COVID. And then we started to veer into a little bit of some of the potential solutions and balancing points that we could, compromise on, which I'm sure we'll get into the next discussion.
Great. Thank you, Manda. And last but not least, Nicole, give us again some highlights from your group.
Thanks, Kim. So some of the key points that came out in our discussion was to consider balance between both users. So we spent a fair amount of time talking about that and kind of a holistic approach. That there seems to be two issues at hand. So the dog waste, which is an enforcement issue, and then the children being threatened, which was a leashing issue. So discussion about that, and then we got into some solutions. So I don't want to talk about those just yet, because I think we'll probably get into those in the next one. And then a few comments about how, with the feces seeming to be an issue, how there hasn't been much of a bylaw presence out at the site, recognized from the dog owners. So just some comments about that they wanted to make clear. And that's it from our end. Group 2 is doing really good. I appreciate their feedback.
Thanks, Nicole. All right, everyone, we're getting to that time of night where, yikes, some of us have probably been online for a really long time today. So as we head into our last question, if you need to stand, everyone, this is not an official break, but if you need to move, this is where I wish I was a yoga person. I could give you some stretches or whatnot. This is just a good time to kind of roll out those shoulders. And we're just heading into our last discussion. But again, appreciate that these can be long days, and we're glad that you've chosen to join us here. All right, so we do have one thing, because you can feel everyone, now we're getting into like, so what might we be able to do? Again, the city needs to consider all of those different input points. And we know that, one or multiple brains are better than one. And there might be some solutions or opportunities out there that maybe the city hasn't thought of yet, or would like to make sure that we're getting those ideas from people that are using the space. So again, everyone, I really want you to think about, as you you walk into this next discussion about what have I heard, like what's important to me? Like that's off. I mean, you're here to saying what's important to you. I also want you to think about what you've heard is important to other people. And it sounds like we've been doing an excellent job of that. And so now I want you to start thinking about, you know, what, as the city goes to respond to this change request, what might be some of the many different options as far as moving forward. We know that when we look at other areas that are facing similar challenges, ambassador programs could be created and put forward to, again, ensure that everyone's getting sort of what they need. There may be opportunities to look at, you know, varying hours, like when are dogs in the area, maybe when are dogs not in the area. Maybe there's, you know, options for as far as, again, sharing that space. You know, again, looking at different days or seasonal times that people can use the park in different ways. So again, a lot of options out there. I've given you just a couple. Obviously, there's way more than that. So just a few things to sort of get you thinking and get you started. So to that end, Lindsay, if you could bring up that last question for me. I've said it, but let's make sure people can read it as well. So again, as the city's sort of moving forward in this consideration, what are some of the potential actions or what are some of the changes that could be made that would really support a variety of people to enjoy this space and reduce some of those challenges that have been raised and put forth? So again, looking for actions or changes that could be made based on everything that you've heard thus far. So again, I'm going to give you about 15-ish, maybe 20 minutes here for discussion to brainstorm those options. Again, if your group wraps up a little bit early, you're always welcome to come back to the main room. Don't feel like you have to hang out by yourself. So you're always welcome to come back here if you finish up a little bit early. So with that, Lindsay, last time, let's open up those breakout groups. And Christine, I'm just going to check in with you. You might have had to step away for a moment. We see that you're still here with us. So if you need some support, you'll let me know. And they're good. And Dean, we see that you might still be here with us. So I'm also just checking to see if you're in transition.
What room is Dean in so I can go in there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, oh yeah, it looks like he dropped out. So Lindsay, let's put Donna in and then we'll get Dean over.
So it's in room 10, Donna.
Okay, I'll just go in.
And Dean's coming back in.
Hi, Dean. We lost you there for a moment, but no fear, Donna's in your room for you.
And shall I
just
put him in?
Just wait.
Yeah.
I don't see he's connected to audio yet.
Okay.
All right. Groups are coming back. Groups are coming back here with us. Excellent. Good stuff, everyone. Okay. So again, everyone, let's do this just a little differently this time. Let's use that chat here for a moment, everyone. I'd love for you to pull up that chat again. And if you could just share in the chat, what were some of the ideas, changes? What were some of the things that you heard in your discussion of, ways that the city could think about moving forward? And so again, would love for you to throw some ideas here in the chat. Again, just wanting to see what were some of the things, again, what did you hear in that discussion about things that we could, ideas or solutions or things that we could do. And I can see some things coming in here. Excellent. And Sheena, I see your question in the chat. Donna, I just want to point your attention to that question in the chat. You're probably going to be best to answer that here in a couple of moments, but you might have to scroll back up a little bit because we've got lots of good ideas here that are coming in. So people are talking about things like environmental design, improving our enforcement of bylaws, focusing on signage. What is there that we can do? Maybe some specific hours that we could look at, or varying hours. Maybe we can, different areas of the park could be used for off-leash. Seeing an opportunity for some ambassador programs, maybe some fencing. Also, it looks like a few people suggesting, let's look at other dog parks that maybe have shared spaces with schools or the like, to see what we might be able to learn from some of those other areas. Frequent monitoring. People suggesting to look at, what's happening in the boarded rink versus the larger park itself. Like maybe there's different options or alternatives in those different areas. All right, good stuff, everyone. So thank you so much for sharing some of those different ideas in there. So let me just start to bring us to a close, and do see more suggestions are coming here in the chat based on things that you've heard. So everyone, please know that we still see some of these in here, and certainly our note takers will have taken lots of notes as we went. So Donna, maybe just come off of mute here for a moment. I know you responded to Sheena in the chat, but likely also helpful just to say it out loud so that everyone hears. So go ahead, Donna.
Yeah, so the mail out was just done to the immediate surrounding vicinity of the park, which is similar to other processes we use throughout the city. So really the communications plan, and informing people of this change of tonight's session, of the survey that's upcoming, was sent out through a number of different tactics, including social media, through our website, through the mail out, through signage at the park, and there was some information in the Gazette as well. So, and we really appreciate as well the word of mouth. I think that went around a lot as well, and there was some reposting as well. So that's what the mail out was about. So you haven't, if you didn't get a mail out, don't worry about it. You're here. That's the important thing. And we have more opportunity for people to provide your further input as well.
Thanks, Donna. So everyone, let's carry on with, or let me tell you a little bit about what's coming next after tonight. All of the input and feedback that was gathered today is all going to be pulled together. And as mentioned earlier, we're going to be having a survey coming out on February 14th. Everyone, it's going to run starting Valentine's Day, February 14th until the 27th. And this is going to be a continuation, everyone. So these will not be the same questions we ask tonight, but rather we're going to be using all of the input and feedback used today and come back to you with some additional questions. So the city's going to go do some work internally, and we'll be coming back to you with another check-in and opportunities to give us feedback. So please stay tuned for more information. Because we've got your email from when you registered registered for the session, we'll certainly be able to keep you updated with when those opportunities arise. But again, mark your calendars, everybody. February 14th, we should be coming back out again. And I believe Wade is going to do me a favor here shortly and is going to put the link to our Cultivate the Conversation site. So this is where you will find that information. Again, everyone, it's not there yet, but it will be coming on February 14th. The other thing that you should know is we will always be putting together what we heard, a summary of what we heard out of this session and how it's being used in the process going forward. So please know to pay attention for that coming forward. Donna, is there anything that I missed that would be important to say to all of our participants here?
Not with regards to what's upcoming. I think you got that all. I just like to throw out there as well. I made it into about 5 rooms and the discussion was great. Heard lots of things for the first time. People were very respectful. So really appreciate that. I'm really looking forward to hearing all the notes, and yes, thank you for that.
All right. So everyone, as we close out our evening tonight, again, stay tuned, watch our watch that website for more information to come. We do have one final poll that I will put up that you can respond to as you're heading out the door here, everyone, or out our virtual door. We know that when we host these sessions, there's always opportunities for improvement. There's things that I can change as your host, certainly our team as a whole. So please, we've got a survey that we're going to pop open here in a moment. There's 3 questions that you can fill out on your way out of the Zoom meeting here. But we do really appreciate any of that feedback on what worked, what didn't. It gives us a good idea for how we can improve as we go forward. So with that, Lindsay, I invite you to open up that poll. Everyone, again, you're going to see 3 questions in there. So take a few moments, answer those survey questions as you will. And as soon as you're done, we will say good night to all of you. Again, it's been a we sincerely appreciate you're willing to come and spend a couple of hours with us. We know that this is really important to everybody involved, and having that community conversation is really, really important. So again, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your expertise and your insight. Again, please feel free to answer those couple of questions that we've got. And when you're done, we'll say good night to all of you. Again, thank you very much for coming, everyone. We appreciate your time. And certainly no rush here, everyone. We see a couple of people are still responding. So please feel free to take a couple of moments. And I just see a couple of comments here in the chat. If there was anything that got missed or we need additional questions to, certainly we can connect with people after the session as needed if there was additional questions that needed to be answered. But certainly thank you for the feedback. Again, we know that there's lots of opportunities to continually improve in these sessions.
How do I get question 3?
Peter, just scroll down. Sometimes you just need to move your mouse to get yourself down to the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I tried that. Got the first 2.
Usually, Peter, there's sort of hover over and see if you can move your mouse up and down is usually the easiest way to make it work.
Don't have a mouse. So
Okay. Do you have a trackpad on your computer that you might be able to move up and down?
do we have a trackpad?
It usually should be on your laptop itself that you move or you sort of slide back and forth.
Oh, there we go. Something's happening.
Excellent.
No, bit more. Need a bit more. I've still only got 2 questions. Now it's moving.
Excellent. Good stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So still see a few people here with us. Again, please don't rush. Seeing a couple of questions coming in the chat here. So certainly things that we are happy to follow up on here afterwards. Donna will just take a look at those questions that are in there and we'll make sure that we follow back up on those. And Donna, I'm just seeing a couple of our participants maybe wanting to have a follow-up or give additional feedback on process and whatnot, maybe potentially in addition to the poll, there might be some more specifics. So just thinking if we have some contact information that we might be able to share here as well so that we can do some follow-up afterwards. And we'll just give another moment or so here, everyone, just for our last couple of people to finish up, and then we will bid everyone a good evening. Perfect. Thank you, Donna. All right. We'll just give one more minute here, everyone, for anybody who's here. Thanks so much, Sheena. Thanks, Janet. We appreciate your time this evening. Have a nice evening, Dean. Thank you for coming. And to my city colleagues, if you want to just hang tight here just for one moment, we'll just finish up our last couple of things here. Just had a couple of questions to check in with you on. So to any of my last participants, Peter and Sean and Sheldon, I'm just going to bump you back into our waiting room, just in case you might have stepped away or can't find all the buttons to do all of the things here. But did again want to say thank you so much for coming this evening. We appreciate your time. All right. Two. right. All right, city teams, I'm just going to take a quick look around the room. Our last couple of people who I think might have left, but maybe not had quite left the meeting are in the waiting room. So I'm just checking. I believe that it is just us here. So Lindsay will press stop on that recording, please, and thank you.